Guten Abend, wie geht es? Vielen Dank. That's the extent of my German. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of the I'll Try That podcast. My name is Matthew Barber. Joining me this episode is Joseph Druitt.
Hey.
Perfect. And today's pursuit of hoppiness, we're heading once again over to Germany to bite into a Bitburger.
Ah, now that your intro makes sense now. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah. We're in Germany, and that was me speaking German. Convincing.
I got it.
You might not have realised this, but there's actually a very convincing German accent I was doing.
The extent of my German is, was ist mein Handy?
Oh, come on, you know more than that. You've got mein Hamster ist gestorben.
No, don't know what that means.
Yeah, I know someone who might be listening who really likes that one.
Okay.
Ach nein, wo sind meine Sonnenbrille?
Nice.
Where are my sunglasses?
Yeah.
And other stuff that's not for publication in this medium. Anyway, that's what we'll be getting into later on. Joe has very kindly introduced himself there, and he's going to take us in with a bit of news. So, Joe, what's the hot topic?
News this week, we're going to be talking about how lager is making a comeback. Now, we've talked about lager and how lager is the new IPA. Some people are saying, the cool kids are saying, in the beer world, in the craft beer world, and there are a lot of brands that are really taking this by heart. So, we're seeing the likes of Pils, Hells, Keller Pils, British lagers, all these different types of lagers coming back in a big, big way. So a few brands that are really tapping this, obviously we know Camden have they champion their own beer about lager and stuff, but, you've got Dea, you've got, Utopia, you've got the likes of, Toast as well, getting in on the lager act. So what is it, I guess? What I want to unpack for you, Matthew, what is it that's making lager have a comeback?
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, I would say for certain people, it hadn't necessarily gone away.
Yeah.
But is it maybe something contrary to what we've said before about, contrary, or even actually maybe it is in line with premiumization?
Yes.
There's lots of people out there saying, we're going to change pace. We're going to go with premium products.
Yes.
And there are now more premium lagers available. And so there are, apparently, by extension, lots of good options for a lager drinker.
Yes. We've already talked extensively that the fact that the two most sold beers in the UK are lagers, Foster's and Carling.
Carling, yeah. It is Carling.
And yet now we're going, lager's making a comeback. No. Lager's already the number one and two sold beverages in the UK. What are we talking about? What we're actually saying is hey, you hipster, now reading these drinksretailingnews.co.uk. Hey, we've got a beer for you. Do you remember lager? Well, we've done a new take on it, and it's our version of lager.
Is that how you pronounce it? I thought it was lager.
And I think this is where I think this is why it's such a side swipe. It's lager's always been around. It's always been the most popular. But now the fact that Day is now doing it, or Camden is saying it's cool, and 4Pure is saying it's great, and Thornbridge have their own lager, everyone's going, hey, do you know what I haven't had a good one of lately? Is a premium lager made by one of my favourite craft brewers. It's it's a tried and tested thing. And yes, okay, I'm pleased. Don't get me wrong. I'm very pleased that lager is making a comeback. But I've always liked lager. There's always a great place for lager in our hearts.
Well, we want to see lots of disgruntled men with beards and checkered shirts and hats who thought that the craft beer phase was going to last forever.
Yeah. This is what I think I have the biggest beef about it, is that it's these folk who are really into the craft beer scene. It's hey guys, we invented beer,
There wasn't any of it about before we came along.
Beer wasn't beer before we came. And don't get me wrong, if you'd have said this 10, 15 years ago, Yes, okay, I grant you. There were a few beers that were macro beers, and then there were always a lot of little small ones that kind of like didn't really make national focus. And yes, in that period of time, we've now had a resurgence of breweries who have been able to make themselves go from a small regional/local player into bigger players, maybe even global players, i.e. Brewdog. Yes, okay. But it doesn't mean that they are reinventing beer in the sense that like, oh my God, we've never had lager before. It's like, no, it's like their version of lager. And a certain type of person is now going, hey, I might have a lager rather than my hoppy double IPA'd.
I quite like that idea of, let's not forget, you know, as you said, because of how popular lagers are by the amount that they're drunk, particularly in the UK, it's like, I do like the idea of trying to get hold of someone who is currently a lager drinker and going, hey, do you know lager's coming back? Yeah. Go, what?
Yeah. Hey, have you had one from Daya? Sorry, what are you saying? What are these words that are coming out your mouth right now?
Sidling over to someone in the pub and go, I see you're ahead of the curve. You're drinking a lager, you bloody maverick.
You're used to at a bar and someone orders a lager, you say, nice choice, yeah.
This guy knows his beer.
This guy knows his beer. But, you know, in all respects, there are some, you know, there's method in the madness here, and there's actually some real data-driven kind of facts here. So, the reason why lager is, you know, there's some things we can learn, I guess, is from this kind of new rejuvenation in lager. So Lost Lager, which as we know is the Brewdog's version, you know, big selling lager, which is their like, carbon negative beer, right? They actually went from 33 centilitre cans into 44 centilitre cans because they realised that lager drinkers wanted the bigger size.
Yeah. Method in the madness, eh?
And I just like...
Not that much madness.
I'm sorry to say, but it's like, yes, well, duh. You know, this is what it, like, if you want to play, if you want to be hoppy, dry IPA, whatever, like, you do one thing, but if you want to cater towards your lager consumer, you're going to have a different conversation.
Oh, man, that's so mad, because it's like, oh, if only we had this data somewhere, if only we had the knowledge that we knew this is what lager drinkers like.
If only there was a thing like going into a shop and looking at these physical products and realising, why is lager in such big cans? No, I will do them in smaller cans.
I've done some primary research on this. I've been into a Witherspoons. and it's funny. It's funny. These places have all over the bar. They've got several taps serving lager by the pint of all things. Can you imagine?
Now, Matthew, you do the best impression of this. But what is that phrase from the Mitchell and Webb look that we love so much about the lager beer?
Yes. It's not. But there's not much of an impression to do, I think. But it's that thing about the alcoholic lager beer.
That's it. That's the only point. That's the snapshot I wanted. That was brilliant. I love that. So long story short, lager. It's a thing. And it's coming back because craft brewers are now taking an interest in it. It's not new information for the rest of us in the world, but for the craft beers and the craft
and
beer
goldfishes,
consumer, this is big news. And we are going to likely see a lot more craft brewers take on the lager scene, probably have in bigger cans because let's face it, you need to, it's a lager, and they'll do their version of lagers. So, hey up. Let's keep consuming the beer that we all like, which is lager, and you can probably get it from your favourite craft beer brewer now.
I hope they go too far and do like 4 litre cans. Everyone knows people like lager in big quantities, so why stop?
Yeah.
Why stop?
Or just open up a whole cask and just open it up into your mouth. Done.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. That's our hot topic taken care of. So it's now for the small or significant matter of the pursuit of hoppiness. Continuing on the lager theme, lager, as we've said before, broad term. We can do something a little more specific and talk about what's our word of the month, Joe, at the moment?
Premium.
We are talking about Bitburger, which is a premium pils. Again, I always put that down as Pilsner, fairly interchangeable, I think. So I bought some Bitburger and sort of said to myself, oh yeah, I've heard of Bitburger, but don't see it in lots of places. Maybe it's a small modern brewery, and I thought wrong. So Bitburger, as I understand, with a lot of if Drabbers had described himself as the beer expert, I'm going to describe myself as the German expert.
Nice.
With my ropey A level in German.
Probably about the same level of qualification then. Pretty
much, yeah. Sticking ER on the end is typically the way of saying where something is from. There's the whole thing about, was it JFK who said
Ich bin ein Berliner.
Which was the big joke because,
he's a certain donut.
Yeah, exactly. If you're from Berlin, you are a Berliner, but also a Berliner is
jam donut, I think, of some description.
Yeah, jam donut. So he said, I'm a donut. But a Frankfurter, it follows the same. Hamburger follows the same rule. Bitburger is therefore from Bitburg, which is it's Rhineland Palatinate.
Oh, it's in the Rhineland. Okay, so it's near the French border.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. So you're talking. It's actually the nearest border it has is actually not France, but I think it's with Luxembourg. So it's a little bit further north. But not far north of Strasbourg, but kind of almost halfway between Strasbourg and Cologne, Dusseldorf.
Nice. Okay.
That sort of neck of the woods.
So I'd imagine to go anywhere near that part of the world, of Europe and / Germany and those countries, you're going to see a lot of Bitburger beers and advertising and marketing around.
100%. So the stats here are third best selling beer in Germany.
Wow. Okay.
That comes with a caveat because it is the nation's number one draft beer.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we argued the toss earlier on about what that meant. Basically, everywhere you go, you're going to be able to find this on tap.
Yes.
And there aren't going to be that many places without it in bottles or cans. Because it's the third bestseller there. But
third was still quite a big quantity of being sold.
Yeah.
But it's less so than like maybe a Paulaner, for example.
Yeah, exactly. In what is ostensibly a very beer drinking destination.
That's it. So, and so Bitburger is through and through this premium pills. Is that right?
Exactly. The only thing I can say that as I understood to be to the contrary of that is the hops that he used.
Okay.
Because it does have, I think it is. Again, it's my translation skills and are probably not perfect here.
Yeah.
But there is a Hallertauer, which is, as we might have mentioned recently with Paulaner, the hop that I think, at least in part, gave rise to the term hell or hells.
Right. Okay.
But there is also Bitburger is also made with the Bitburger Ziegelhopfen. So the Ziegelhopfen, hops, and I think Ziegel is like seal. So it's like
their seal of their specific hops
so it's
in that
like
area.
Their own hop.
Yeah, nice.
That's how I read that. So again, the Pils is in comparison to the Paulaner we were drinking earlier on. It's got again a little more distinct and possibly a bolder, stronger hop profile that makes it the Pils.
Nice. Okay. Now I am, obviously knowing this is a company, I've seen Bitburger before. This quite distinctive white label with a lot of gold bedazzled across it. Not as bedazzled as Rich's Homebrew, where it was like gems, plastic gems stuck on. But it is like bedazzled in the fact that this is a very golden, premium is the word of the day. But it feels like it's that kind of like we're trying to show that we're very premium by having this gold foiling on Bitburger and this logo, which is like a man's floating ahead with a bow tie, 2 hands and a beer. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That's like their logo. It's quite fun.
I think the hand is almost the AOK sign, isn't it? For when you're the hat. I don't know where to get started on that. Bow tie, And he's sort of saying, yeah, it's okay. This is a classy man saying, this is a classy beer. It's got my... Yeah,
I quite like that. I've never
thing,
seen anything like that before. That's quite like it's like a seal of approval, quite literally, in the graphic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so site is, as you said before, I think is the date, like the starting date, isn't it? So this is 1817. So it's again an established organisation. But I know like kind of this Bitburger pills. I've seen it around before. It's quite, as you say, quite classy looking, premium-esque, kind of design. They also have come out with a 0.0%. Sorry, I should say it's a 0.05%. So it's got that slight bit of, so it has had alcohol in it, and then it's got it removed. Guess what they refer to or / call that beer?
The 0.0. Or the 0.5.
Could be. It could be. That would make sense. No, it's called their Drive. It's called the Bitburger Drive.
Okay. I was going to say, is that dangerous territory? But then
it's very dangerous territory. But they've obviously done their research in that they can do it, because this is also being sold in the US in this way. The Drive is in a 0.0% alcohol by volume and contains 26 calories per 100 milliliter. So they've obviously done their research enough to know that they can do that, because if there's one country that likes to call companies up for making false claims, it's the US. So, you're going to have your facts straight before you start telling people something that isn't. So yeah, I found that quite interesting that they are so confident in the marketing of their 0.0% that they refer to it as the Bitburger Drive.
Yeah, I think that's, a little bit bold, but, sorry, I'm getting distracted because I want to know. You see it on the bottle. There's TH Simon Bitburg /Eiffel.
Oh no, you find that out. I'll give you something else while you're doing that bit, please. So it was found, as I said, it was found in 1817 in the southern region of the Eiffel Mountains.
Yeah, so actually that's what I was curious about. So that is that neck of the woods, and presumably there's a link there to, I hear Eiffel, I'm thinking Eiffel Tower. There's a really obvious connection. To be honest.
Is there a connection between Eiffel Mountains and the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah. I quite like that Bitburger. I'm reading some of their paraphernalia out there, but I'm assuming that what they do is refer to Bitburger in short as a bit, a nickname. And so you'll see it on the bottle, Bitte ein Bit.
Yes.
Which is...
1 bit, please.
1 bit, please. Yeah, exactly. Because it's a Bitburger.
And I'll have one of those, please. I love that. I love that they have their own phrase of Bitte ein Bit. It kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? I'd like to have a Bitte ein Bit.
It's a new one on us, but I would totally expect lots of people to turn around and say, that's like in wide circulation in Germany.
So, talking about the beers, I was also thinking, I know them as this Bitte ein Bit, the 1 beer, 1 bitter, the 1 bit burger beer. They have quite a few, actually. So they've got the premium pills. They've got a cellar beer. They've got one that they refer to as the easy.
As in, easy as in sort of in, that's making me think it's session, like lower percentage, not such a bold.
It's
something you can.
It's a lower calorie beer. Yeah. Which kind of makes sense, I suppose. It's like a translation thing, isn't it? They've got a gluten-free version, and they've got an Eifelbrau country beer. So again, there's a cellar beer and a country beer, which I'm sure are like classics. They've got some seasonal beers, which is this green hop beer. So they do actually do a Maibock and a Winterbock. So they're...
Maibock is a bock beer.
Yes.
Which is like quite a strong lager, I think, isn't it? But May is from May.
Yes. You're absolutely right.
Check me out. I'm actually learning something
in
this whole process here.
But they have a whole range of radlers. I'm really pleased to see they have radlers as well. So they're lemonade infused versions. They've got they've got loads of different ones. They've got radlers. They've got a radler naturally cloudy. They've got 0% versions. They refer to as the 0.0% cyclists.
Presumably, you're cycling through the Eiffel Mountains, and you want one to go, a little buzz on, but also something to give you a bit of sugar. and hydrate you for the rest of your cycle.
Yes, I think you're right. Maybe it's picked up by, maybe most popular by cyclists, and so they literally refer to it. And again, we're talking the German translation to English, and this is one of my favourite phrases for collaboration beers, which I think we need to always use going forward. So they call their collaboration beers their brew friendships.
Oh, that's nice.
That's lovely, isn't it?
That is nice.
Oh,
never ends.
We've done a nice brew friendship with X company. I love that. That's really nice.
These guys are our chums. That's nice. I got to say though, I really like this beer. Like, I kind of worried that actually in Germany, because it's so widely available, if people maybe get a bit bored of it, because I think to a certain extent there's a little chicken and egg there of it's really widely available. For it to be the most popular beer, the most consumed beer, particularly via draft, it must be widely available. So I imagine that people probably do get a little bored of it after a while if that's what is really readily available.
Yeah.
But I think it's nice. I think it's really nice.
It's really tasty.
And I probably shouldn't make this comparison because they're two very different beers, but you put this and a Paulaner in front of me, much as I do like the Paulaner, I think I'd go Bitburger first.
Now, I'm glad you brought up Paulaner because we talked about it recently. We talked about the Bavarian or German beer purity laws. Okay. Both are meet the Bavarian purity or / German purity laws. And I've got a little bit more information about this. So we've been talking and saying these phrases, and we talk about it has specific 4 ingredients and blah, blah, blah. So the German, what was referred to now as the German purity, the beer purity laws, but back in the day it was just before Germany existed, it was the Bavarian beer purity laws, were introduced in 1516. So it's before the formation of Germany.
Wow.
By Bavarian Duke Wilhelm IV, and continue to dictate how beer is produced in Germany to this day. So obviously this is why Bavaria is such an important beer area of the world. So this makes it the oldest surviving law in the world related to food and drink. So this isn't just about drink anymore. We're talking about food, the oldest standard set for a specific food or drink in the world.
Fair play.
It's one of the foundations that Bitburger Brewing Company and Group have built on to achieve the highest level of quality. So it talks about yeast, talks about brewing without additives, talks about the 4 product, as we talked about before, 4 ingredients, and the fact that it's a sign of a superior beer quality.
Look at that. I mean, you've only to look at it to know. I don't like to be taken in, particularly as we've said before about this is premium beer. It looks like one to me.
Yeah.
This has been taken seriously and it's put together with love and care. And it's also, it's funny, I think we mentioned before about, I think when we talked about Paulaner, we mentioned about Pilsners, which this is. This is German Asahi, isn't it?
Yes, that's a great.
Or Asahi.
That's a great link to this, actually.
Bitburger, right?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, exactly. It probably is the other way around in some respects because this one would have come first. But yeah, you're right. This is the crispest, cleanest,
dry. Clean. That's the word I kind of like more than crisp. It's that kind of clean. Clean. I'm just going to say it back to you again. Clean.
Flanley.
Yeah.
It is definitely the cleanest of the lagers that we've had, or the pills, I should say, that we've had coming out of Germany lately. This is a tasty one. And actually, this makes a lot more sense, I think, coming from that kind of northern, eastern part coming from that northern, western part of Germany, near Luxembourg, on the kind of near French border. This makes a lot of sense. It's kind of going in towards almost like Belgium kind of territory, Netherlands-esque, and they do a nice clean, bunch of lagers, derivatives from those countries as well.
Yeah. So, again, I feel like I've said enough that this would be my choice. I think it's a lovely beer, this.
I know. So, Bitburger USA, which is their Instagram page, you can get about 1,500 followers. Again, they actually have it broken out by countries. I couldn't find the UK equivalent version one, and I'm sure you can find the one in your local area as well. And on Instagram, they've got about 600 people. Again, it's split out by country. So, again, as they already are the third most consumed beer in Germany and the number one draft beer, you know, they don't really need to have an Instagram presence by the sound of things. And I think their export versions, you know, we picked this up in Majestic as well. But, you know, I've seen this around, but I haven't seen it ever in a pub. Or seen it in a well-known supermarket here in the UK. So I'm hoping that might actually get a bit more attention, get a bit more favour, and they might find themselves, because we're enjoying this, aren't we? This is a nice, tasty,
Very
clean,
so.
crisp beer.
Yeah.
And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe,
Rich,
Barber,
and Simo.
Goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
I'll try that podcast.com.
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.